Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Togen's Fly Shop, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and Hardy Rods and Reels.
G'day folks, welcome back to On the Bench at Sport Fishing on the Fly. Today I'm going to tie you up an October Caddis. October Caddis is a great fall pattern in the rivers. Make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For hook I'm using an Umpqua. It's a curved caddis hook, size 8. You could use whatever size for your October caddis in your rivers. It's fine. For the bead, I'm using a Dazzle brass bead, and it's in blood red. It actually looks more brown to me, so that's why I'm using it. But you could use like another brown kind of a bead if you have it, or even copper. For thread, I'm using Semperfli, and it's dark mocha brown thread. So dark brown thread, and I'm using 8/0. For the rib, I'll be using large tying wire in March Brown by Semperfli. You could use copper is fine, any kind of brown wire, or even gold. For the body, I'm using Dirty Bug yarn in 3 colors: mottled dark green, mottled golden olive, and orange aphid. But you could, for the orange yellowish part of the body, you could just use one of these is fine. You don't have to use both. I like the combination. For the thorax, I'm using brown ice dubbing. And for the hackle, I'll be using Waiting Farms Brahma Hen, and it's in March Brown color. So I've gone ahead and wrapped my lead-free wire onto the hook, about 12 wraps or so. Just going to start my thread here. And I've got mine a little bit back from the bead, just to keep it a little more balanced. And plus I don't want to crowd the area where my hackle is going to be. So I'm just going to wrap in behind the wire here to hold it down and go over top of it a few times. You can also apply Zap-A-Gap or super glue if you want to hold it better. But this should be fine. And then just taking my thread all the way down to about halfway down the bend. Right about there. Snip that away. Next, I'm just going to bring my thread right back up in behind this wire here and tie in my other wire, my medium March Brown wire. You could use copper is fine, or gold. I'm just going to attach it right behind that wire. Bring it all the way down, and then bringing my thread right back up. Next, take your mottled green or dark brown yarn, and I'm just going to attach this right on top. I want this one coming right on top of the shank all the way down. Just like that. Next, take your bug yarn. I'm just going to, and make sure you pull off a long piece here. I'm going to take a strand of each. So I've got the orange aphid and I've got the mottled golden olive. You could just use one of these. You don't have to have both of them. It's fine. I like the color of both of them mixed together. So I'm going to pull off a very long piece though, because otherwise I found it, I run out and have to reattach it. So I'm just going to attach it in the same spot. Bring that all the way down to where you have your green and your wire, and then bring your thread all the way back up. And I'm just going to stop it where I want my thorax to start, right about there. Next, just take your orange yarn, and I'm going to make a couple of wraps at the back, probably 2 or 3. Just build a little butt section here. And then I'm going to bring my green right on top, and I'm going to lock it down with the orange with one wrap. So I'll show you what I mean. So it's right on top there. And then I'm going to pull the green back and make another couple of wraps, build the next segment of my body, getting the taper that I want. I'm going to bring the green across again, right up across the back, lock this down tightly with my orange. I'm pulling it very tight. And then I'm going to bring it backwards again, repeat it again for another segment of my body. And then I'm just going to wrap this last segment to the taper I want, and I'm going to tie off my orange. Oh, trap my wire, one sec. There we go. I'm going to snip that away. And then just take that last green segment over top and tie it off. You want at least a bead and a half there for your eye stub and hackle. Next, take your Velcro. I'm just going to put a half hitch in here. You want to do that before you brush anything out. And I'm just using it ever so lightly. I don't want to bug it right out right at this point. I just want something so the wire doesn't slide too much. Just a little bit. And then next, take your wire. I'm going to make a full turn at the back. Go up onto the body. As I get to the bottom of the yarn, I'm going to pull it tight. You don't want to do that on the top in case it slides. And then just make some nice even ribs up the body. Pulling it as you get to the bottom, nice and tight. Put some nice segments in there. Tie off your wire. And then you can, hang on, then you can break it away. Just twist that until it breaks. Now I'm going to put another half hitch in there. And take your Velcro. Now at this point you can brush it out a little bit more. I found Velcro is actually the best for the bug yarn. You don't want to do it too much, but just a little bit so that the air bubbles and bubbles trap in there and it kind of looks more alive. If you've got any that are just way too long, you can just trim them off. That's fine. Next, I'm just going to make sure my thread's right at the back here and apply a little bit of wax to it. Even though it's waxed with eye stub, I like to just apply just a tiny bit. And then I'm just going to spin my eye stub onto my thread. I'm going to use a little bit of water here. It's a bit coarse, and I want a nice skinny noodle. I'm just going to tie a little thorax in here. Here we go. I still have enough room for my hackle here. Just going to make a few wraps in behind the bead where my collar is going to be. Go back. Next, I've gone ahead and chosen a feather from my Brahma hen with nice long hackles on it. You could use partridge if you don't have Brahma hen, or grouse would be good. Just anything with a little mottling or speckling on it that's brown is fine. I've just peeled the bottom part away here. I'm going to snip it away. Apply some wax to my thread because I'm tying in a hackle. I'm just going to bring it back to here. And now You just want the shiny side of the feather facing you. And tie in that stem. And I'm just leaving a little area at the base here bare so I can turn and orient my feather the right way. Tie that in really well before you snip it away. Hang on. Just going to cover that stem up with some thread. Next, take your feather and you can just sweep your hackles in between your fingers. Go ahead and use hackle pliers if you like to. I have a better time without them sometimes. And I'm just going to start turning my feather around the hook. I want to build a nice full hackle. And you want your hackle to measure back just before the end of your fly. I don't want it going past it. So when I get the amount on that I want, I'm going to tie off. Just take a couple turns in front, snip away the excess. That. You can just tie that down, build a little brown collar, and whip finish. And then go ahead and take your glue or resin of choice and you can glue your collar. Oh, hang on. There we go. And then you can take your brush or your Velcro, whatever you have, and brush through it if it's not buggy enough for you. Pull some of that ice stub out a little bit, not too much. Sweep everything back. And that's it, my October caddis. Thank you for joining me on this edition of On the Bench. Take care, everyone. Conserve the waters and tight lines.